Zubair,
Nice to meet you.
thanks for coming here, man. It's funny. This is the first time we met, but
In,
in person.
in person, yeah.
Zubair is the one, the man behind the Daddy Day Club logo. So I guess I don't have to ask you what do you do for a living, but
I'm a cook.
yeah, seriously. So you're the man behind the Daddy Day Club logo, and I guess we'll start off by asking you, what's your name, how many kids you have, and what do you do, and then we'll jump on and talk about the logo.
Yeah, so as you all probably have just heard, my name is Zubair. I would say I'm a visuals designer, but my background is really strong in graphic design, but I've kind of pivoted more into kind of the design of, websites and mobile apps and things like that. And I've got 2 kids. I've got a 5-year-old daughter and an 18-month-old son. And yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
That's
and I've got a
pretty
wife as well.
Awesome. Good to know. So
Shout out my wife.
Shout outs to the wife. So I guess I'll ask, man. I just wanted to know, like, when I came to you with the project of Daddy Day Club, shout outs to Mike, by the way, for setting this up. I've known Mike since, honestly, probably like my clubbing days. He used to do flyers for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
he never told me this.
Yeah, man. And it was always like amazing work. It was just, there was people who did club flyers, and then there was Mike, and it was just phenomenal, man.
Yeah, he is someone I look up to as a designer.
Yeah.
I still keep in contact with him, especially like when I need to ask him stuff.
Me too.
For advice. And he's very like, he keeps himself to himself, but when you talk to him, he's very open. And
totally,
as a designer, I think he's probably one of the best designers I've ever had a chance to interact with.
Yeah. Mike is just next level person, very kind, very welcoming. Like whenever I ask him for questions, he responds, man. And I'm sure his advice is worth a lot of money, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
So Mike set us up, and I guess what was your like thought process when I came to you with the Daddy Day Club, and what did you think it would become? I guess,
if I'm honest, I'm very bad with Instagram messages. I think you probably know this. I'm very bad because half the time it was a lot of people just going, "Can you do me a logo?"
Yeah,
and I was just like, "Okay, what's your budget?" Oh. I don't really have money right now.
Yeah.
So I just started ignoring Instagram messages. But then you said that, you got Mike actually messaged me and then you messaged me. So I was like, okay, this is legit. And then I don't really do a lot of freelance stuff. So even then it was more, okay, this is what you want. And then I still remember you asked me, what's your rate? And I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just kind of gave you a number.
Yeah.
And then in hindsight, it's like, should I just ask for more?
Yeah, totally.
But then we got talking, and then this was just like during after work. It's more of I kind of normally like to decompress from like day job kind of thing, and just start looking around. Well, you told me that kind of idea you had, and how you want it to look. But then it was more of a case of, okay, he wants it to look like this, but what if we explore different avenues, and how if we can, look for other ways such as inspiration, and just looking around to see what other kind of fashion apparel is out there. And yeah, a lot of it is with design. I look at almost, because I have a big love for brand and brand identity and graphic design and like that's my kind of anchor. And even when I design for like visual design for apps and websites, that's always been my inspiration. It's not like there's new sites out there, there's new websites, and they do amazing things, but for me it's like looking back at what's already been done as well. So when it was looking at your logo, looking at what previous fashion apparels have done, what other people are doing right now in this space, and just see like how can we make it more approachable, because a lot of like brands are like very much, they look, can I swear?
Go for it.
Yeah, this is even a swear. It's like they just want to do cool shit and or they want to be part of some unique clique, and I'm like, that's just kind of like bullshit.
Yeah.
Whereas when you kind of approach me with the idea, it was more like Daddy Day Club. You have this kind of unique idea where it's supposed to be. For me, it was fun.
Yeah.
Because the first thing I thought was the film.
Daddy
Daycare.
Daddy Daycare. It's funny. A lot of people mix this up with Daddy Daycare, and I always got to correct them.
Yeah.
It's quite funny, and at least we don't have Eddie Murphy suing me for any rights.
No. But then it was that kind of inspiration as well. That's a comedy film. So how can we make this a bit more kind of approachable? And then now that the logo's been done, you've done it in so many different variations. It's not just like black on white.
Yeah.
Where it's
totally.
like standard with every kind of t-shirt brand nowadays.
Yeah, I love it, man. Everybody always just compliments us on the logo.
Thank you.
And it's just awesome, man. It's just a very welcoming logo. When you put it on merchandise, when you put it on the branding of our packaging, it just looks really good. It's very welcoming. And I don't think we would be where we were at without you doing the logo. Seriously, man, because you just never know what it could have looked like.
Yeah.
And I know you did a few different variations, but you nailed it with this one, man. And I love it.
Thank you. So, it was my first ever attempt of designing a logo like that. It was all very freehand motion. So it took me like a lot of practice to kind of perfect. Like there was iterations before we got to this.
Did you have to start off with a logo type and then edit it like through outlining, or is it all freehand? I'm assuming it wasn't.
It was yes and no, because I'm not a typographer. Like I know what a good font may look like, but there's people who can draw fonts like crazy. And for me, it was okay. I need to try and find a good looking font, and that will fit the brief that we're going for. And then try and work it in a way where it's not, just a, 3 words.
Yeah.
So then seeing how I can make it a bit more playful. So like including like the wavy lines.
Yeah.
How I can, try and just make it a bit more individual in a way. So that's how I went about.
I'm not doing I'm not trademarking the logo, not yet at least, but trademarking the name and stuff like that. So it's really cool just seeing it grow. And I always think about you, man, thinking like how much of an impact you had on the brand.
Yeah.
And I don't know if when you're a designer, you ever think about like the outcome of it, because you could always ask, did I charge too little? Did I charge too much? We'll never really know until, because on paper, everything looks great. Daddy Day Club looks great, but obviously we're not where we want to be. But that being said, let's jump into maybe parenthood and kind of just talk about, you said you had 2 kids?
Yeah. Before we go into that, it was more like my wife and I always have this conversation about knowing my worth.
Yeah.
Because I'm very bad at it. Normally it's just like, this guy just wants a bit of help. I just do it. And I went through a phase where I didn't help anyone.
Fair.
They're like, oh, can you help me out? I was just like, no. I was being I was being a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
So is it because you're scared to undercharge yourself?
It was that, like that. I didn't know what to charge, but now I kind of have more of an idea, and then I kind of level set. Like this is basically, I look at their kind of circumstances as well.
Yeah.
And then, okay, if you need a bit of help, but I'm gonna need something. Like,
of course.
This is my
livelihood. Of course.
But with you, it was like you paid me, which is great. Like you even gave me like 50%, and now that was new to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everyone says that you should get the deposit. And then I was like, okay, he's legit. But then I was telling my wife yesterday, if it grows, I need to get that money.
Yeah, baby.
I don't want it to be a Nike situation where she only got paid $2,000 and now that Nike's worth like billions.
So here's the funny thing, because you mentioned that, and I'm a very conscious person in terms of like, what you charge me. For me, first of all, I could afford it. Because if you said to me, there are people who would say, I want $5,000, or let's just say even on like Dribble, $2,000.
Yeah.
It would make it harder for me to, that's the thing. Maybe if I went somewhere else, it wouldn't have been as good as it would be. And
it's just the stars aligned. It's always whatever happens for the best.
Totally. And I also always think about like, what if it didn't do well? Like would you still, and I tell this to my friends whenever we do projects, you'd still walk out with money and I would actually have like be in debt, or the project would be dead.
Yeah.
So it's very, we don't know yet the success of Daddy Day Club, and I would never forget you if we ever go, if we ever like went into a different status and different level, I would always come back and help you out. And try
you'll see a message from me. Hey, I see you doing really well, by the way.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, man. It's tough to kind of gauge, and I would say some people would say, too bad, like I paid you what I paid you, and that's it, because my only comeback would be if I did not do well, if my business would not do well, that other person who provided me a service, it's not like they would give me back my money.
Yeah.
Right. So there's always always a mutual respect and a mutual way of coming together.
Yeah. And for me, in my head was like, it's only a logo. Like I'm not doing like a full rebrand or like a full brand identity refresh or even like doing any kind of scale up. You just wanted a logo.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to charge like thousands upon thousands.
People do.
I know.
People do, man.
Yeah, I mean, but then those people also like they don't really think about people and situations. Like I always want to when I design as well, I think about people. That's why I kind of want to do like, user-centric designs and stuff like that in my work.
Yeah.
So it's always more because where I come from a working class family. Like my dad, he immigrated from. Well, he was born in Kenya. He immigrated to the UK. He worked his ass off.
Yeah.
So it's always like we've always come from a place where we always kind of just have to hustle, and I kind of know how other people like this shit people go through.
Yeah.
So it's always just about helping as well. I'm like sometimes there's logos out there that people did for free that are like world famous now. So
how much of like what your dad taught you and how he raised you do you feel you're passing on to your kids? And do you think you're going to be raising them differently than your parents, even culturally?
I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because being children of immigrants, your parents were always working.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to provide for you. And so I got to spend a bit more time with my dad as he got older. And as I got older, like when I was young, he was working.
Yeah.
First, he educated himself. He got himself a degree. He got himself a master's. And he was always working. Then he got his own business. So I only saw him like in the mornings or the evenings. So, and then there were times where he'd take us out and stuff like that. But it wasn't like, hey, do you want to go to the park? Do you want to do this? Yeah. I mean, I had a little brother. Yeah. I kind of just took him everywhere. Or should I say, he went with me everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm going to the park. Okay, take your brother. Why? He was like, what is he going to do with all my friends?
Totally.
So, like, as we got older, my dad, we were allowed to do a bit more with my dad because as he was getting older, so he had a bit more free time. And then, obviously, we were a bit older. So, and now he's got grandkids, so he wants to see a lot more of that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So do you think just from that already you're changing, just shifting from that kind of generation to now because you work from home?
Yeah, I think COVID was a big change because I had my daughter in 2018 and I had paternity for 2 weeks and I went back to work. So again, I only saw her and in the evenings. When I go to work, she'd be asleep.
Yeah.
And then during the weekends, I try to spend as much time with her. But then COVID hit, and I got to spend so much time with her.
Yeah.
And I don't think I mean, COVID was horrible,
yeah.
but I wouldn't change what I had with my daughter.
Of course.
Because I had the best time with her. And then even moving here to Canada, during COVID, it was like the longest COVID of all time.
Oh, God.
And because compared to Canada, like when we left the UK, everything was opening up again. I mean, they closed it down again, obviously, because they're stupid. But I got to spend more time with my daughter here because my wife got a job in a school and she has to be there full time. And my job allowed me to work from home. And then we had a daycare, but it was only 3 days a week. So 2 days out of the 3 days, she was at home with me while I was working. And we kind of had our own little routine at the end of it. So I'd wake up on the days that she was off, have breakfast. I'll set up myself for work. And then I let her have TV time while I do that.
Yeah.
So we'd watch even like TV shows together. And then an hour and a half, then I'd shut him, like go play. And she's very, very good like that. She's to this day, she can play by herself. I think because she was an only child for so long as well.
Yeah.
But she was very independent in that way. And she'd go play. She had activities to do and all that kind of stuff. And then I'd be like, okay, come back. What are you doing? Just making sure that she was okay.
Yeah.
Like I always remember this comedian. He's like, my job as a dad is to
keep you alive.
Make sure that you don't die. Make sure that you don't die. So that was like my job solely until my wife came back from work is to make sure she was alive.
Yeah, that's too funny.
Just make sure she's when she's breathing when she comes home and she's breathing when she leaves.
Yeah. So why'd you have a second kid?
I think the time was right. I mean, my wife always wanted a big family.
Okay.
And we moved countries and I think with my daughter, she's very, very social. And I think and now I see it now, like her having a brother she loves it.
Oh, cool.
I mean, she absolutely adores him. And he's like, you see a big difference between boys and girls. Like everyone says it, but you do see it once you have it. He's completely different to how she was. Like in the stuff that he does, his mannerisms, he's a bit of a daredevil.
Yeah.
And he's a bit more rough than my daughter was. So, but she can take it. She's always like, and she gives it back as well. And we have to be like, yo, calm down. Because when he was born, obviously, she didn't really understand. Like, she was 4. So we had to teach her, like, yo, he's not 4.
Yeah.
You can't treat him, you can't play with him like he's 4 years old.
Totally.
So, like, there's one point, I remember she just picked him up from his arms when he was young. And we're like, yo, calm down. You can't do that yet. But now, even now, she just, like, randomly walks up to him and just picks him up and just walks with him.
Cute.
So
is it, like, how much harder was it to now have 2? Because I'm assuming you have to split up. Well, it seems like your daughter's more independent now, so it might be easier, but is it hard still?
Again, I believe it's like circumstances. Like when, I guess, I don't want to make this a sob story, because when my son was born, I was let go of my job.
Okay.
And I think I told you about this.
Yeah,
I was let go. And I wasn't a permanent resident at the time. It was like we were still waiting for the confirmation. So I actually couldn't physically work.
Yeah.
So that put a lot of stress on us. And like, I don't want to say like it wasn't a good time to have a kid. I mean, we didn't think that obviously at the time.
Of course.
Like it happened in a space of like maybe 2 weeks. And, but once I got a job and everything, like my wife took a year off anyway for maternity, sorry. And so she got to spend that time with him before she went back to work, because she wanted to spend a year. Like there was talks like, should I go back early? And then even I said, you're going to go back to school full time. Like you're not going to be working hybrid or anything like that. Just take a full year.
Enjoy your time
with him. And what was the question?
I guess I said, like, how hard is it to have 2? Like I have 1, and I really, like, we live in a condo, very small space, and I just can't imagine. And me and my wife barely hang out with each other. So it's like you have now a newborn and a daughter you have to entertain. You have to kind of shift the attention. And that's the thing. I actually don't know. Do you shift your attention away from your daughter? Do you bring on like your daughter to be more part of the family to help out? I actually don't know. So that's kind of, what kind of advice can you give somebody who has 1 kid and might want another? What should I look out for? What are the difficulties of having 2 children?
I would say don't make it out like there's a big, oh my God, we've got 2 kids. How are we going to separate? No, most of the time, they're going to want to do things together.
Okay.
My daughter, when she sees Idris, that's my son's name, Idris.
Oh,
my daughter's name is Amal.
Oh, awesome.
And so when they're always doing things together. I mean, it comes to a point where my daughter actually doesn't want to play. She goes into her room and she does her own thing, and then she comes out.
Got it.
He's the one who's chasing her all the time.
Yeah.
So I would say it's like there's not really much of a balance. Like there's times like I have actually taken my daughter out. She's learned how to ride a bike. She can do 2 wheels now.
Okay.
Which is a big,
awesome.
Yeah. Because I mean, it was quite weird. Like you don't actually ever remember when you start learning how to ride a bike. You just I just ride 2 wheels. But seeing her do it, and she learned it so quickly. So it's just those kind of things. Like your wife is at home. Okay, I got to take Amal out.
Okay.
So we can ride a bike. And then you just kind of do these little things. Like, yeah, we've got a little kid at home, but he's going to go everywhere with us anyway.
Fair enough.
And I guess one of the blessings of Canada is like there's so much greenery, there's so much space.
Yeah.
Especially where we live, there's a park opposite our road. So if we go, like, do you want to go ride your bike? Yeah. Or if even little things like we're going shopping, take them all with you, and she just gets on a scooter and comes, and Idris is at home.
So what happens at night? If one of them is crying at night, like do they wake up the other? Who takes?
Just ignore all of them.
Yeah, ignore all of them. I like that. There's a funny like meme out there where it's like both parents slept, and in the morning it's like, I fucking called you twice and you didn't pick up. And it's because like they just slept through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But
now, basically, my daughter has her own room right now, and my son, he sleeps with us in a cot.
okay.
So she's got her own room. She's got her own.
Fair enough.
She's got her own little world in her room. So she goes to bed. She knocks out.
Okay.
And we were actually sleep training my son to like sleep through the night.
Yep.
And he's pretty good like that now. Only a couple of days because he hasn't been well. He's been waking up.
So do you guys have days where you like rotate? One day you'll do bedtime, and then I guess now with 2 kids, you're both on.
Yeah, I mean, with Idris, it's easy. Just give him a bottle and he knocks out.
Okay.
And then, but with my daughter, how old is your daughter?
She's turned 3 in June.
Okay, so when they're a bit older,
It's a whole thing. We have like, brush your teeth.
yeah,
We get snacks. We read books, and then we
yeah,
sing
then it'll turn
songs.
into I'm not tired.
Okay.
I'm not tired. Can someone pick me up?
Yeah.
My legs are hurting.
Sounds about right.
Then she closes the door. She comes out. I need to go to the bathroom. Okay.
Sounds about
And then
right.
she comes back out again. And I forgot to tell you something. It's like, okay, can it wait till tomorrow? And then she shuts the door. I'm thirsty. It's like she remembers everything at bedtime.
Fair enough.
She's good. But if there's one thing we could change about it, is just that I think because we live in a condo, she can hear us.
Sure.
We're watching TV.
Yeah.
Me and my wife are laughing or talking, and she's like, "What's going on out there?"
Yeah.
So she just comes out. But there's days where she just goes to sleep fine. But my son, he's quite good. He just falls asleep by himself.
What time roughly do they sleep?
He goes to sleep around 7.
Okay.
My daughter, when it was school time, around the same time, 7:30.
Yeah.
But
Sounds
around now, because it's holidays, 8 o'clock, 8:30.
cool. Yeah, sounds about right.
But we say 8:30. She goes to sleep around 9:30.
Okay.
But she's an early bird. Doesn't matter what time she goes to sleep. She wakes up at 7.
Yeah.
I'm like, why, man? Why? But then it doesn't really matter because my son's up by that time anyway at 7:30, and he's all right. He doesn't really cry. You just hear him, and then that's our day. Me and my wife have some days where we're like, I need to lie in, and then we just I'll take over, stuff like that. So
Teamwork makes the dream work.
yeah, sometimes it's more like, can I have a lie? And then you just see each other and you're just like, oh God,
Yeah.
why? No, you better stay awake.
Yeah, we have it where.
More so than her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm always like, can I have a lion? She's like, looks at me, like, you done anything to deserve a lion yet? Okay, fine.
Yeah, we rotate. I'll do one day, she'll do the other day.
Yeah.
And then I guess the day I have off, I have the ability to, I guess, go out.
Yeah.
Whereas she obviously has to stay. And if she wakes up, it's my wife who will take care of Sophia and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, because I was working remotely, my wife would go to work. She'd leave by 7. So I drop my daughter off to school. I do the pickup.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love doing drop off and pickup, man. It's
Yeah.
like a different bonding time.
Yeah, and so then when my wife is off, she'd do it.
Got
Because she'd
it.
want to do it. And I'll be like, go for it.
Yeah.
I could stay at home. I mean, our school is a good 5-minute walk away, so it's not even that far.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and so then we actually we found a nanny, and so I could work, and then she'd take care of Idris, and then she'd be gone by the time my wife would be home. So that was a big help. I mean, when we discussed like what we were gonna do, it was more like daycare or nanny or daycare.
Yeah.
I was saying to send to daycare, but then she wasn't comfortable because it's more to do with he's so young.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, I've heard stories, I mean, at my previous job where they're like based in the US and she went back to work after 6 months and they had to take a 6-month-old to daycare.
It's
I'm
crazy.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Because when my daughter was born, we had the blessing of being at home with my parents. So my wife went to school, I went to work, and my mom would take care of her.
Are your parents being here to support you, or this back home?
Back in the UK.
Okay.
So-
Sorry, is your daughter UK citizen?
Yeah, she's British.
Cool.
Her accent wouldn't tell you anymore.
Okay.
She still has a little bit of a twang.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I still tell her, no, you got to say it like this.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
one being football. Like, it's not called soccer. She once said to me, Daddy, they're playing soccer in school, but it's called football as well, okay? I was like, okay.
You tell them. You tell those
Yeah.
kids.
No, she was trying to tell me, like, it's okay to call it soccer as well. I was like, but it's football.
Yeah.
cool. There's some little things that she does. And so, yeah, she was with my mom and dad. My mom would take care of her during the day. And then I'd come home, my wife would come home. But with this one, it'd be different. We'd have to pay for a nanny. So it was more of a case of I be at home and the nanny be in the other room. So I can just check in and see if everything. Yeah. But she's great. Our nanny's great. She's amazing.
Shout out to nanny.
Yeah.
So how much of an impact did it have when you moved from here and not having your parents even around to support you? Even just you as obviously a person, and then the feeling of not having that support either. So you missing your parents and then not having the support.
I can only speak for, I would say me and my wife are quite different in that way, where I was a bit more, yeah, we could just do it. Let's just go. And I think she's very much, she loves the whole family kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but that whole family kind of picture.
Yeah.
And her mom and dad being involved and everything like that with the kids and everything like that.
Do your parents miss you guys and miss
Yeah. I mean, my parents came last year, and that was the first time they met my grandson. My grandson? Sorry, my son.
Your son, yeah.
Getting a bit too ahead of myself.
Their grandson.
Jeez. So, I mean, I don't think they would have ever come as quick as they did if we didn't have a son, because we went back and they miss Amal because basically she was there when she was born, and I think she grew up with them. And then just having that time with your grandparents, because my parents my sister has a kid, my brother has 2 kids now, so they are busy, but obviously Amal was the first granddaughter.
Sure.
And they don't get to see Idris as much.
Okay.
So it's always that little thing. So even for Sana's side, it was like, it was their first grandson on their side, granddaughter on their side, and first grandson on their side. So it's that kind of thing. They want to be involved.
Of course.
But we're so far away. So yeah.
How about you? Like, how do you feel after having kids? Do you feel the same? Obviously, you don't feel the same, but do you ever feel any sort of feelings, good or bad? Do you feel like you can't focus on your work and your craft anymore, or you find time to balance that out?
I've always been go with the flow kind of person. So, I mean, the place you work has to be accommodating as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if they have kids, then they understand. If you work in a place where there's like just young 20-year-olds with no kids, they're not going to get it.
Totally.
Like, I've got to do a school drop-off, I've got to do a school pickup, and then I've got to like sort out the kids' dinner and sleep time and all that kind of stuff. So with my work, I'd make that kind of a thing. I put it in my calendar, school drop-off, school pickup, or not available. And they're like, are you available for a meeting? I'm like, no, I've got to put my kids down for bed. But my previous company where I worked with Mike, they were very, very understanding.
Cool.
So they would be, because they had offices in Vancouver and Toronto. I don't even say Toronto anymore. Do you see that? I'm from Canadian Toronto. I'm probably still fucking butchering it. But it was more of a case of if I finished at 5-6, they wouldn't message me.
Oh, cool.
Unless it was like a crazy ask and they'd give me the time back.
Sure.
So it's all got to be understanding. And then I used to work good. I mean, where I work sometimes, I used to love working at night. Yeah. Just because it's quiet. But then the kids change all that, because by the time you just want to chill.
Yeah.
And especially with my wife, I just want to like chill with her and just like watch a movie or watch trash TV.
Yeah. So is that what you like after bedtime? Do you ever do any work, or I guess it depends, or do you just spend time with your dog?
It depends.
Okay.
Or it could be just like we're just chilling and I've got the laptop and I'm just working.
Yeah. Okay.
And she's just chilling, or we're watching something. And then it'll be a case of my wife goes to bed. Because the thing was my work setup was in my bedroom.
Okay.
So I was always telling her, I don't want to go to bed yet. Because my desk is right there. I don't want to stare at that. So I want to have that separation before I can go to sleep. So I'd go out and just watch TV, play Xbox.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Before I come to bed, it'd be like 12 in midnight. And then I come to bed. So, yeah. But I've always, my wife is more, she likes to go to bed early and wake up early. And then I like to go to bed late. Yeah. But then I wake up early and complain. It's like, why am I up? I'm tired. But I kind of just get on with it. I've always kind of like not slept a lot. But then when you have kids, you don't sleep much anyway, so it's all good.
Wild.
Yeah.
Is parenthood like what you thought it would be?
No.
Yeah.
No. Everyone says, I mean, where I was before compared to when I had Amal, I was probably a completely different person. I'm a bit more, I mean, I don't know. I can only speak for myself. Like I'm a lot more, I would say, what's the word? I'm trying to say, in my head it's like, should I just say caring? But then I was like, I'm not caring. But I was like, I am caring. So I don't know what the word is. Like before Amal, I wouldn't think I'd be doing some of this. Like when people say, oh, you miss out on all these things when you don't have kids. But then in my head, the argument is you do so much when you have kids.
Yeah.
It's just a different experience.
Yeah.
Like you can say, oh, you don't do this anymore. We don't go out anymore. But there's so much stuff that I've done with my kids and with my wife that I probably wouldn't have done if it was just me and my wife.
Fair enough.
Sure. I mean, sure, yeah, we could have gone here, there, everywhere. But me and my wife, Amal and Idris, we went on a road trip to New York.
Cool.
And that was amazing. It was fun. Like, she was on her iPad at the back playing with Idris. Idris was just like, he was quite young, so he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So he was just a bit like oblivious to everything. But it was a fun road trip. And then drove down to Montreal a couple of weeks ago. It was a week before the F1.
Oh, okay.
So it was quite busy. So we've done a lot with the kids, but at the same time, me and my wife, we still are sometimes like, man, it'd be nice just to do things, be young and free again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I do this thing a lot with her, like, because we have a nanny, it's like, we can leave the nanny and we can go at night. She's like, nah, I can't do that. So why? The nanny will be there. So yeah, but it's a bit more like they're not old enough.
Yeah.
I think it's more with my son because we've been out before. Like when Kendrick came, we went to see Kendrick, and we had a babysitter then, and my daughter was quite old, so it was more of a case of Idris being too young right now for like a babysitter.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what he might do.
Sure.
So we do. I don't really even think about that anymore of what life was. I try not to think about it anymore. Like, what would life be without if we didn't have kids?
There's no point anymore.
Not even if we didn't have kids. We had Amal quite early.
Okay. How old were you when you had Amal?
Well, me and my wife got married in 2017, and then we had Amal in 2018.
Okay.
So we had the honeymoon period where we literally went on honeymoon, and then we had a bit of time, and then Amal was born the next year, and it was just that. So we've just been parents since then. Young parents. I think I was 27 when I had Amal.
You're a young guy.
I'm not young now. I'm 35.
Well, you had your daughter at a young age. I was like maybe 32 or 33.
Yeah.
And our parents would be like, when I was 20 when I had when I had you, and they promote that and talk about
I mean, even like my wife's mum, she was quite young. My mother-in-law, she was quite young when she got married, so she had kids when they were young.
Yeah.
So they got to do a lot of stuff when they were younger.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my parents are a bit older, but I think my mum was around 40 when she had my brother, youngest. I've got two other siblings. I've got an older sister and a younger brother. We're all 5 years apart as well, so there's a big age gap.
Yeah.
But my wife was like, she wants kids early because she wanted to be able to spend that time with them while she's still young.
Yeah, and have the energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like barely keeping up. I feel like an old man with like old knees trying to like play with my daughter and stuff.
I remember once chasing my daughter around the house in the UK and I got carpet burn.
Oh, God.
I was like, crawling. And then I crawled on. I was like, they do it so easily. Let me try.
Yeah.
I crawled and I got carpet burn all of my knees. I was like, nope.
What I learned is whenever I'm with my daughter, I can't wear like my favorite clothes. Like all my jeans and all my dress pants have like these little knee marks just from being on your knees. And it's like not a good look. Do you feel like you're doing things different than your parents? And you know what, let me change it up. Do you ever talk to your parents about like being a dad and like the challenges ever? Do you ever say like, Mom, Dad, like I'm having a hard time, or you skip it?
I only spoke to my dad once before I was going to have Amal. And I was like, I'm freaking out, man. Like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
And he kind of just spoke to me. And I kind of needed that at the time because I was still like 27.
Yeah.
I mean, it's young.
Very.
And then it was more of a case of, I don't know. I don't really speak to him like what he would do. I don't think I've ever asked him. Normally he is like, I remember he would say, just go a bit, don't be too hard on them. Yeah. It's just you there. That's one thing they've always said. Because I think it's true as well, because it's just us. We have some family, but more or less they spend most of the time with us. So if you're always off, they will notice it and they'll feed off it. And if you're like that all the time, it's just you there. They can't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
Like, so that was one advice that you gave. Like, just remember that it's only you.
I like that.
So yeah, but I mean, I remember when my mum asked me. It wasn't even a thing where I was like, yeah, Amal's not listening. She's not listening. I was like, I just give her a backhand. What do you think? And she was like, what? Don't you dare. And I was like, why? She's like, don't you dare. I will come there and beat you. And I was like, yeah, it was, you lot did it all the time.
Yeah.
And now I'm threatening to hit your granddad. I would never do it. I'm not condoning it.
Totally.
Don't do it. Don't do it. But it was a case of like that kind of thing where it's like,
old school mentality.
Not old school mentality, that you're the only ones there, so she'll remember all of this stuff.
Yeah, of course.
So you got to be very careful. See, my daughter, Ma, she's so clever.
Yeah.
She remembers everything, and it's crazy, a kid's mind. Maybe because they're young and they just have not as much experiences, but she remembers stuff from like month ago, 2 months ago, even like, do you remember when we went on holiday and we did this? And I was like, damn, how do you still remember this?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of like early thing. Like you don't want them to see,
of course,
like, oh, my dad was angry here, my mom was angry.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to like, and you remind yourself, obviously, at least I try to sometimes when like, you lose your patience, but like it's hard to kind of manage their feelings when you're even like having a hard time with parenthood and all that stuff. So I don't know. I feel like it's different, even generational. Like my mom, sorry, Mom, but she would scare us with hot pepper like powder. So if we like swore or talked back to her, she'd put it in our tongue and that shit would burn. Yeah,
my dad just was a scary looking man.
Yeah.
My friends used to knock up at my house, didn't used to like it when my dad used to answer the door.
Yeah.
And when they speak to my dad, oh, your dad's so funny. But when you look at him, he doesn't look very approachable. He was
the eyes kill.
Yeah.
My dad too, man. Like you never dare to talk back or any of that jazz.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's different. We're much more softer. Like I'm firm with my daughter and stuff like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, my wife and I, we have this. Well, she has to remind me of it all the time, like the whole good cop bad cop thing. Like if I'm telling her, I'm quite bad at it. Like if she's telling her off, like don't get involved.
Got it.
But then I know, like, yeah, why are you doing this? I'm like, yeah, what? Yeah. What are you gonna do? But I have tried to rein it in. Like she keeps reminding me, and probably always need to be reminded that if I'm telling her off, don't get involved.
Sure, I like that.
It's not like, why are you gonna gang up on?
They need somebody to fall back on.
But she's like, you should be the final straw kind of person. Like that's it. I'm telling Daddy, and then he'd be like, oh God, now I'm in trouble. But there are times where I'm just like, no, let me just speak to her right now.
Yeah.
So it is a bit that kind of balance where sometimes you tell her off, sometimes I tell her off, but just being firm. Like even when I speak to her, sometimes my wife is like, speak a bit softly to her, but I'm like, I'm just being firm.
Yeah.
I'm not telling her off. I'm just being firm, and she understands.
Was it hard?
I'll tell you what, we went to Algeria. This isn't with Amal. My brother-in-law got married in Algeria, and his wife is Algerian. So we flew from here to Frankfurt, from Frankfurt to Algiers, and then we took a connecting flight to a city called Oran. And the flight there was from Toronto to Frankfurt was fine. And Amal didn't sleep the whole way.
She did not?
No, she was just way too excited to be on an airplane.
Oh, cool.
And then Idris, he fell asleep, which is thank God, because it was his bedtime. But when we got to Frankfurt, he knocked out again. I just think because of just tiredness. Amal fell asleep. But then when we got to Algiers, that's where it kind of got a bit tiring for us because it's a long flight. I think it was 24 hours of traveling. And the only thing that was probably difficult was Idris, because we had infant on the lap. And then he's very much, I want to do stuff.
Yeah.
So he didn't complain. He was still crawling at the time. Now he's walking. So I don't know what it's going to be like when he wants to just walk everywhere, because he doesn't like sitting.
Yeah.
He barely sits unless it's like he plays with someone. Even then he kind of walks off.
Yeah.
Just mid-play, he just walks off. So when we first flew with Amal, she was fine. She's always been good. And when we first came to Canada, my wife flew back a week before me, and she was like, Amal slept the whole way because it was an evening flight, so she got lucky. When we went back to the UK with Amal to visit my family for the first time, when we came back, she was fine. She didn't really complain much. She did her own thing and just went to sleep. But I think it'll be more of a challenge when we fly with Idris now that he's walking.
Okay.
Because he doesn't really understand the concept of, just sitting and just, maybe watching a TV show. Because he doesn't really watch TV. He watches Bluey. Shout out Bluey. It's the best show ever.
Bluey, yeah.
I mean, I watch it sometimes more than my kids. Just watching it, and then I'm watching it, and I find out that my daughter isn't even there. My son isn't even there. I was like, I'm watching it by myself here for a minute.
Might as well finish it.
Yeah, might as well finish. A good storyline. So my daughter, she can, for her, an aeroplane is a fun experience. But for my son, it's going to be more of a, what can I do here?
Yeah.
So when we were on the plane to Toronto to Frankfurt, I just kind of took him out and let him crawl up and down the aisle.
Cool.
And then, but after he learned that he could do that, he kept wanting to do it.
All right.
But then we kind of had him sitting down in between us, so then he would play with Amal. And I guess we've been blessed that they haven't been too...
It sounds like it.
Yeah. I know some people are like, oh, it's horrible. But I guess it's also... I would say I'm pretty chill. Maybe that's just the vibe that they have.
Cool.
So...
Yeah, we haven't flown yet. I don't know. I was scared for a good portion.
I think
of
they'll
time.
be fine.
Yeah.
I honestly think they'll be fine. Like kids, they adapt.
Yeah.
And especially, they'll be curious, but once they just know that, okay, there's a seat, there's some shit I can do on the screen.
Yeah.
Then the aeroplane, they always give you like kids coloring and crayons and stuff. They always give you like a little pack. That kept them all busy for like the first hour.
Yeah.
And then...
First hour of 24.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, we got, again, like I said, she was just excited to be on an aeroplane. She didn't really bug us.
Cool.
She had her own seat, so she was like playing. She was playing games on the screen. She was watching films. And then after that, we told her, like, go, why don't you get some sleep? And then she was like, okay, I'll try to sleep. So she closed her eyes and then she's like, Mama, I can't sleep. Can I just play? Well, she wasn't bugging anyone.
Yeah.
Just like, just do your own thing. My son fell asleep. So she was just like, then I closed my eyes for a bit because he was just lying on me. So I might as well go to sleep. I can't do much anyway. So it was okay. It was just, the flight was long, especially the flight back. I would say that was even more tough because he did fall asleep in my arms, but then when I went to sit down, he woke up and then he didn't go back to sleep. And then he was a bit agitated because he wanted to sleep. He was tired.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't get himself comfortable. And he's pretty chill as well, Idris. He doesn't really complain much unless he's tired. Then we're like, okay, he needs to be put down. And then he kind of does his own thing.
Sounds like you're lucky.
Yeah.
It's really good, man. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
How does food work? Who makes dinner at home? Who makes lunch?
My wife.
Yeah.
should say that should be a bit more prominent in the kitchen, but I make good breakfast.
Yeah?
Yeah, I make a good omelette.
Okay.
My wife would say that now as well. I've recently just started making her omelettes.
Good for you.
So I kind of because my wife is off, she, during school days, I wake up with the kids, I make them all breakfast, and then send her to school, make Idris breakfast, and then me and him would have breakfast. But because Sana's at home, she wants to do that as well.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure if she hears this, she'll be like, no, why the fuck don't you make breakfast in the morning?
How about dinner? Like, do you guys do it the night before or the same day?
We have, like, say we make dinner one on like a Monday, we'll just have it the next day as well. We don't make fresh.
Yeah.
We make fresh, but like we have leftovers.
Of course.
So, and then the worst thing of all Uber Eats is that like worst thing, man. I would never have this much Uber Eats, I think, if I was at home.
Oh, with your parents?
Yeah, because my mom would be cooking something as well. But it's a case of like, yeah, let's just get Uber Eats, man. Let's get a burger.
Yeah.
Or yeah, let's get some tacos. It's all good.
Have you tried, not to steer away, but have you tried Aussie's Burger on Kensington? Kensington Market. So good.
No, we have this place near us called Gladiator Burger.
Oh, I've heard of it.
It's pretty dope. But the place where we had yesterday, like I think I probably had the best steak of my life.
You got to go to Aussie's.
Okay.
Buddy of mine, he's a Turkish guy, so he brought infused the recipe with kind of the Middle Eastern touch. Really good, fresh potatoes. Check out their Instagram; it's wild. You have to go there before you leave.
Okay,
it's really good. I don't know where you live.
I live in North York.
Okay,
so just outside of Canada, outside of Toronto. It was like when we moved here, we actually stayed with family in Newmarket, and that's like the suburbs, man. They was dead. And I was like, is this what Canada's like? Because I don't like it then. And then we moved, our realtor friend, she kind of took us around. We were looking by ourselves first.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to kind of move downtown. But then it was more of a case of where we live now, which is like by Yonge and Finch, Yonge and Empress area. It was more quieter, a lot more parks, a lot more family friendly.
Yeah.
So I think it was a better choice for us.
Definitely.
I mean, I still kind of wish we kind of explored downtown maybe in our first year and then moved away.
Yeah.
But we haven't been, we barely go downtown, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the last time I went was for the F1 exhibition.
Cool.
I took my daughter and, I mean, she's not really much into F1, but it was a day out for her. And she got to go to Church's Chicken, which is a bonus for her.
Yeah.
And then went to, so it's been a nice place where we live. I mean, there are bits of stuff that, come pros and cons with every place you live, but we don't mind where we are.
You feel like you've got more emotional since having kids, or maybe specifically a daughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably when I had my daughter. I cried when I had my daughter.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time I probably I don't know who's in my family's going to hear this, but I cried.
Yeah.
I didn't cry when I had my son. I was emotional, but I didn't cry.
Interesting.
Like I just bawled my eyes out when I had my daughter. I don't know why. I think it was just I was just overcome with emotion.
Maybe it was your first as well, right?
First,
that has an impact on it.
And we didn't know. It was a surprise.
Oh, cool.
We didn't find out.
Oh, that's really cool.
For my first one. So when Amal was there, we found out we have a daughter. I think it was that as well. With because then when we had Idris, I told my wife, Sana, like, I want to know. Like, come on, man.
What's it prepare? Yeah.
It's just us now. And then we didn't tell anyone else. We just knew.
Sure.
But then it kind of got me prepared, like, yeah, we're going to have a boy.
What I've been doing lately is I don't know, I do it for myself, but I started when I can because it's very hard to journal just any specific interactions that I have with my daughter. Because sometimes I look at her and I'm like, you grew, like it's like, you went into the next phase of her life. And sometimes I'll just just write down some few stuff. And I hope that I can continue it. And in like 2 years, have all these books for her to read one day, especially like if you're not there anymore. And or if you pass when you're old age, for them to kind of go back and read all of your thoughts. And I really recommend anybody watching to try it at least. It's really hard. We got to stop ourselves all the time and just say, okay, quickly just write in the book about just anything, any special feelings that you have. Like my daughter came and was putting an ice pack on my foot. I think I have a hairline fracture, but just seeing them be empathetic like that and come and care for you. It's nice to remember these things.
Yeah.
Especially as I get older, I forget,
Yeah. Like Idris is kind of young, but he does these things that my daughter would never do because I think he's just a boy.
Yeah.
And even recently, he just bumped his head when we went to Yorkdale.
Yeah.
And we were in a shop, and he wanted to come out of his pram, and so he's just running around. And my wife and I were talking, and it was a case of this, looking to the side for a second, and he banged his head into a table.
Okay.
And you just see like a massive goose egg coming out as he's seeing him. And then Amal being all like, is he okay? Is he okay? Don't be, she was telling him, he's okay, it's okay, Idris, it's okay, you'll be fine. And then he's just looking at her like, what do you want? What do you want? And then he was just like, just leave me alone kind of thing. But my daughter's always been a bit caring. She has a bit of a soft soul in her.
That's sweet.
She's sensitive.
Like anytime I see my daughter get hurt or something, like I got to try to keep my composure, man. Sometimes I lose it. I get more, I like take it to the level that it actually shouldn't be at. But I just get like emotional and like, oh my God, is she okay? Like blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of like the opposite. If it's a little scratch, I'm like, come on, get up. Let's go. Yeah.
Because it was more of a case of like, I don't want to treat her any different.
Yeah.
Like, because some people are like, oh yeah, boys, you got to be tough and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm like that with my daughter. It's more of a case of I don't want to treat her like any differently than what I would with my son.
Yeah.
Like if she hurt herself, she's got a scratch, it's okay. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
Like she falls over and she gets a little scratch. When we're outside playing, we don't try to make a big deal out of it.
Totally. And I, to be honest, I'm not talking about those situations, but like situation where like she fell on concrete and like hit her eye. I'm like, my God.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you should be a bit more compassionate.
Yeah.
Your daughter's got a concussion. You're
totally.
like, just walk it off, man.
Yeah, that's hilarious, man.
I mean, I've had so many falls and injuries in my life. I mean, I always tell you this one, like I had a swimming fall, like I was walking and I slipped and I hit my head. No, sorry, that's the wrong story. I got hit by a motorbike.
Oh, damn.
And it was at a pedestrian crossing. And I went with the motorbike and my head hit like the metal railing. And I got a concussion and everything, got sent to the hospital. And the police came and did an interview, like, what happened? Like, do you want us to go and inform your parents? Like, we can go home. And I was like, in my head, I don't know how that might look. You opening and the police are at my door. You're talking about me.
Let's pass.
I was like, I'll call.
Yeah.
And then I went to the reception desk. And I was like, I need to call my mom. And then my dad was actually away. And then I called my mom. And I was like, yo, mom. She's like, what's up? I'm in hospital. She's like, what happened? I got hit by a motorbike. And I got a concussion. And there was no, she said nothing, and she just went, which hospital? I went, so-and-so. All right, I'll be there in a bit. And that was it. And the nurse asked me, what happened? She's like, what did your mom say? Nothing.
She'll come when she comes.
I was like, she was just like, okay, cool. My nurse was like, she didn't say anything? No.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
But my mom was like, I asked her, like, you didn't react. She's like, what did you want me to say?
Yeah.
Like,
I really like that.
She was, her reasoning was, you called me, which told me you were fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it was a bad fall, but in that, I don't think I've been like that to my daughter, but it's more of a case of, if she falls, if she gets up and she's like, fine, I'm like, okay, we're fine. But if she wants to like cry out as well, I let her cry out.
Yeah.
So, but then it's more of a case of, okay, you've cried out as well, we got to keep going.
Totally.
But with my son, it's a bit more, he bangs his head everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas it's the case of like, don't make a big deal out of it now. He's just going to bang his head everywhere.
Fair enough.
And even if he bangs his head, even if he bangs his arm, he holds his head. It's like, I don't know why you're holding your head, you hit your arm. He does this really cute thing where he just kind of does this to everything.
Oh, yeah?
Where he hurts himself. He just does this. It's like he's stroking himself better.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever been, I think if it was the other way around, maybe I would have probably been a bit more harsh on my daughter.
Yeah.
Say if I had Idris first.
Sure.
And then if Aman would fall, I'd be like, get up, let's just do this. But even when Aman was younger, I would play a bit rough with her.
Yeah.
I was like, because I didn't know if I'd have another son or if I have another daughter. Like, I'm just going to treat him like I would treat how I want to treat my kid.
I do like wrestling moves.
Yeah. Like even when she's like, can you pick me up? I'm like, okay. And I just pick her up and I hang her upside down and I take her with me.
Oh, yeah.
And she loves it. So it's more a case of, and then I just throw her onto the bed. I'm like, okay, good night.
I do like stone cold stunner, like pedigree on my daughter at bedtime. I like fully like tombstone.
RKO.
Yeah, that is hilarious. But she loves it. And it's like a great way for her to get her energy out. We do like bedtime where she just jumps and we just toss her around. But I know we have a couple minutes, so I always end my podcast with 2 questions. This one, I don't know who you'd pick, but I'd ask if you can have anybody sitting here, who would you recommend me interviewing?
My wife.
Okay.
That'd be funny.
Oh yeah, I get the other
know.
side of.
You could like play this to her and then be like, "What do you think?" And then I don't know what she might say. She's like, this is all a lie.
Yeah,
He's lying.
Okay, fact checking. All
Fact
of it.
check.
Okay.
I don't know. Who would I choose? That's a good one. Anyone. It could be anyone.
Anyone. Realistic, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, don't pick like, Vin Diesel or something.
Oh, fuck that guy.
I love Vin Diesel.
Really?
I like him.
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
I was a Fast and the Furious fan, so like.
But what's he done since?
And I liked he always had a like structure, and family was really important to him and the characters he played. So I really liked that because growing up, I kind of wanted to have that with my friends as well, where you have a close knit of friends.
The Rock would have something else to say.
Oh man,
proper beef.
Yeah.
But like The Rock, his films were tanking, so he became friends with Vin Diesel again. I don't know who would I have. Realistic person. I mean, my wife would be a good shout.
I think that's good. Shout outs.
But who else? Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. Because you know what? It's just being me and my wife here.
I know. That's why I thought it might be a hard question for you to answer.
I mean, my dad would be funny if he came on because he'd just give you just the worst answers.
Okay.
Because he's just joking.
I love it. We'll have to do a remote
It'd
podcast.
be like, I don't think you'd be able to ship it out because you might get arrested. It'd be like, yeah, just beat your child and just everything.
That's like Russell Peters would say stuff like that.
My dad, just for the record, my dad never beat me ever. He's done a few like. I remember once I wasn't waking up, he just threw a shoe at me, and I was asleep, so I didn't know. I was just hella confused. Like, why'd you just throw my shoe at me?
Austin Powers, who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Yeah, but I would say my wife, but it's not like, yeah.
Okay, your wife. Final answer. If you could have any artist perform at your wedding, who would it be?
There's a few.
All right, let's hear it.
Because I'm a heavy metal guy. So it'd be really fun to see Slipknot perform at a Pakistani wedding.
Oh, man, cool.
That would be awesome. Just to see the sheer aunties and uncles just scared. Be like, what is this devil music that's arrived at this wedding? And my wife, she hates, like, Slipknot are coming. I think, they've already gone. But they were coming to Scotiabank, and I was like, I've seen them a few times.
Yeah.
And I've seen them at Download Festival as well. And I was like, can we go? And my wife was like, no. It's like, come on, I'll get us seated seats. You could just sit. Just let me go. Let me go. She said, go by yourself. And why am I going to go by myself? And who else can I have? Tupac would be funny.
Cool.
But I would say Kendrick. I'm a big Kendrick guy.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, Slipknot, Kendrick. Who else? I mean, I get a nice...
You have like a full lineup, man. I said one person, not a full headlining show here.
Yeah, I'll have
all right.
headliners. I have mid acts, and then even like I can get you there.
Okay, I'll be the opening DJ.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it up.
Yeah, my wife was always says like, "Oh man, I'd love to get married again." I'm like, "Why? Why?"
To cough up them, $50,000.
She's like, "I just want to wait because when we got married, we had so many other. My dad has like 4 sisters. So I have cousins that are like the same age as me.
Yeah.
And I was like the last of the boys and the cousins to get married. So every year we'd have a wedding.
Cool.
So every year she'd basically be invited as well.
Wedding fever.
Because the way me and my wife actually met, we're actually close family friends.
Oh, cool.
And we didn't know it at the time. Like we both liked each other.
Yeah.
And when it came to marriage, it was like, what do you think of her? Do you like her? Do you like her?
I like.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it was. And
My
then
wife.
but it was like, I didn't know if she liked me.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, she does like me. Why do you not tell me this? She's like, you never told me, you never approached me. And there were times where we've had this conversation where I'm like, there's been times where I used to come and try and talk to you and you'd walk off.
Crazy.
And
I'll
be
did you like that?
Yeah, I was like, what do you think was going through my head? Like, oh, fucking hell, she doesn't like me.
Yeah.
She just walked off.
Yeah.
So it was that kind of like thing where it's like, we've always been around each other and we've always been at weddings. So she's like, I just want to get dressed up again.
Totally.
And then that's why we were so excited to go to a wedding in Algeria. She's like, I finally get to go to another wedding. But yeah,
cool.
Asian weddings are long. Have you ever been to any Pakistani Indian weddings?
No, just
It's like long.
big reception,
Our
yeah.
wedding,
I saw toe touching.
that's probably an Indian one.
Yeah, toe touching.
Pakistani, we have like a week's long
Yeah.
worth of 3 days events.
Socially, I couldn't do it. Sorry.
You're just like, I tell her, we don't remember. I don't remember anything about our wedding day.
Yeah.
I remember her coming in, me signing the papers, nothing else. And the wedding photo shoot we did.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't remember anything. Everything's just a blur.
Well, you have the whole life to spend with her, and
Yeah. We have this ongoing thing, like in weddings, like in our culture, where it's like when people come around, do you want to watch our wedding video?
Yeah.
It's like, why? Why is this
get some popcorn out?
Yeah, like why is this one thing that you want to talk about?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you want to watch? Just sit in silence and watch us get married.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view. Zubair, great to have you on here, man.
No,
I hope you have a safe trip. I know you're moving, so
Yeah.
at least it was great to meet you. And
Yeah, this is crazy. This is the first time we're meeting.
yeah, so it's great, and I guess it makes it easier. So if we make it big, you can't find me. I'll be long gone.
Yeah, I'll be in another country.
Anyways,
anyway.
yeah, man. Thanks for coming here, buddy. Appreciate
Cheers.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye.
Shout out to Graham for having us to crazy Toronto podcast studio here. So anybody listening, make sure you check it out. Awesome, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know how that was.